This is podcast time.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Geek Remix podcast. My name is Stacy.
And I'm Mari.
Are you recording sound?
Yeah. See? Our voices are moving on the thing.
Interesting. Okay, so, this news is kind of old, but I thought that we would just report on it to, kind of we had been talking about the Logan Paul stuff, so I just kind of wanted to report this, that we could just put a cap on it and kind of end the story, because
No, he's gonna don't trust.
No.
We know that this particular news is old, but
so YouTube has suspended Logan Paul's ad revenue. He also, there was the thing about him tasing a dead rat and blah 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 blah. But anyways, I just kind of wanted to I don't know.
Say it was really he killed a fish for views. And that was really, I don't think he knows that animals are real or people are real.
I think this is just my personal opinion, but I think that when people's bad behavior, it's the same thing. There's been plenty of other celebrities that do shitty stuff because they just when their bad behavior is continually rewarded, and when people pay more attention to them for doing shitty stuff, I think it just encourages a pattern of behavior.
I'm gonna move the mic so it's more directed towards you. Okay.
Because I think it encourages a pattern of behavior, and especially when people are younger, and it's kind of with the whole Justin Bieber thing,
I feel like he's gone way beyond any of the things Justin Bieber did. However, I'm not fully
No, I meant the Justin Bieber
thing
as in his parent, when people were oh my god, he's doing all this stuff, and his mom basically came out and said listen, he makes so much money, there is literally nothing I can say or do to him to in terms of parental consequences.
Yeah, it really freaked me out. Seeing him make fun of Japanese people and make fun of a Japanese man's dead body. And then he goes, oh, dead bodies and stuff, that's bad. I know, I'm going to torture animals on screen. That was, really messed up.
I didn't hear about the fish thing, I only heard about the rat thing.
He took a live fish out of the water. And, I understand people go fishing, but even people who go fishing, they don't
generally don't torture the animal.
Yeah, usually when my cousins go fishing and they catch a really big fish, warning, fishing facts about to come. They'll take a mallet and kill it right away.
Yeah.
Just not be a monster.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's the same thing with hunting. You generally,
you don't draw it out like a weirdo.
Yeah.
He took a fish out. That's AJ just being a dog. He took a fish out of the water and started performing CPR on it as it was dying. And then he took a dead rat and tasered it. And I have a pet rat, and that was kind of upsetting for me to see. It was what is wrong with you, man?
I mean, I don't think it has to be if you have a pet rat. It's more just
No, because some people, I was explaining, some people don't see rats as
yeah,
a little
but
more
I mean,
relatable.
that kind of reminds me of when people are I have a daughter, therefore I understand that daughters are people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I didn't think women were real until I had a daughter, and that I was wait a second, this particular woman's my property.
Yeah. And it drives me crazy when people, it's you don't need to say as the father of two daughters, I've come to realize no, you should have figured it out before. You shouldn't have to have a pet to understand that animals are real things. That
And I'm a meat eater, but I like to eat meat that's been killed humanely. I don't want when people are oh yes, this is still alive, that's how fresh it is, and you're no, fuck off, weirdo.
Wait, what?
There's a lot of Japanese dishes where they serve you food that's still alive.
Oh.
And I'm just I'm not down for this, you crazy weirdos.
Yeah. No, it just, I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I feel a waste of time, because he's just he just keeps doing shitty stuff and like, you know.
I think it's like a kind of a big problem with YouTube, where these big YouTubers who keep doing like really racially insensitive things, and then everyone goes, it's fine, it's normal, it's okay. And I'm like, no, it's not. You're letting all these YouTubers, this guy went to Japan, disrespected my culture on every single level. His brother says the N-word, PewDiePie says the N-word, and it's like, everyone's just like, it's fine, don't worry about it. And I'm like, yeah, it's not fine. You guys should be making a way bigger deal of it than you do. Like, don't just throw it under the rug. Like, it's not okay. And, like, not only that, he also, like, their actions negatively affect literally everyone else on YouTube. So it's not like a joke, and it's not funny, and it's not like something like, oh, well, you know, it's over now, get over it. It's like, no, Stacey and I are still, like, facing the consequences of what they did.
Well, yeah, so just to, like, expand on what Mari is talking about, so when controversy surrounds, like, a larger YouTuber, essentially what happens is YouTube is put in the position where it has to, like, make judgment calls to placate its advertiser clients. So,
every time it happens, advertisers
every time it happens, advertisers get upset because they're like, oh my god, like, what content are you allowing to be on YouTube, blah, blah, blah. And so then YouTube either makes changes so that ad rates go down, or, you know, advertisers leave so ad rates go down, or, like, you know, or, you know, the change that they made in terms of, like, what content creators are allowed to monetize content, which means, like, meant for all the smaller YouTubers who aren't making above a certain threshold, they now cannot monetize their content through ads at all.
A lot of gay YouTubers can't talk about gay shit.
Yeah, so... yeah.
So it's not like, oh, well, he made a mistake, get over it. Like, okay, well, if the same people keep making the exact same mistake, they don't give a shit.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, what I think people overlook is that it's not, this doesn't happen in a vacuum where it's like somebody says something and then that's like, there's like no real like consequences of it. Like, when, like,
on top of the consequences of young kids seeing like this behavior and thinking, oh, it's okay for me to act like this, and then everyone else just has to deal with it, because if you say, I don't like being talked to like that, everyone just tells you that you're stupid and you're wrong. So a bunch of like people who don't like hearing the N-word, like black people, are like, that's not cool, and everyone's like, you're just being oversensitive, it was a mistake. And you're like, they just use your who I am as an insult. Like, do you not get that? Like, it hurts, even if it's not directed at you.
Yeah. So, I mean, it just, yeah. I don't really know, I can't think of any, like, solutions for this, but it's just one of those things that, like, I feel like, in my opinion, the way things are going, it makes more sense for creators of a certain size to be supported by their fans. Like, yeah. I honestly think that makes more sense, just because it's, you know, in theory it can be more stable. It also means that, like, for instance, I'll just use us as an example because, you know, I'm most familiar with our situation, but it means that, like, when we make content, even if we know that, like, oh, this video will probably get flagged, then we can be like, yeah, but we make money off of Patreon, so it's not, like, the end of the world if, like, one video doesn't make as much money, you know? I mean, obviously, it really blows if, like, all of the videos get flagged.
The thing that really sucks, though, is that if it gets confirmed, then you lose all. Like, YouTube just, like, throttles the views. Like, it suddenly takes it out of the algorithm for being promoted.
I think that they throttle it before that.
No, because I've seen it. As soon as it get confirmed, or, like, in the live view, it'll just drop immediately.
I think they throttle it before that.
I don't even know. Like, I'm not going to pretend I fully understand it. I just know that everything sucks. But, whatever.
Yeah. Well, anyways, on a happier note, the Japanese figure skating team celebrated Yuri on Ice at the... Yuri, do you want to...
Oh, sorry.
Celebrated They skated to one of the songs from Yuri on Ice.
Can I play it and mute it, or should we just...
I mean, I think people can look it up if they want to see it.
Yeah, Miyu, Suzaki, and Ryuki Kihara, Yuri on Ice, 2018.
It's so cute.
But there was, like, a bunch of the Olympic skaters, like, tweeting, like, themselves next to, like, characters from Yuri on Ice being like, I'm blah, 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 and they'd, like, be in the outfit. And then they like showed a screenshot from the anime. Being
some
like,
of the anime costumes were directly based off of like there's one of the costumes is directly based off of Johnny Weir's swan costume.
Nice. So I don't know if it was which way it was going. Maybe it was just a circle.
Yeah,
the circle of Ice Yuri.
There were definitely some of like the characters and costumes were kind of like modeled after like actual skaters and stuff, which was really cool. But yeah, if you guys like want to see this, it's really cute, and I just thought I would share it with everybody so that they could, I don't know, check out the cuteness. I'm sure.
I just think it's cool that like all the people from different countries were like, I'm totally into this anime too.
So, I also think that this year I think this year was the first Olympics where skaters were allowed to skate to music with lyrics. So, like, all right, I've been watching Olympic figure skating for a while, and, like, I don't know, this year's competition was just, like, really, really cool to watch because I feel like there were a lot of, like, music selections that were, like, more modern that you wouldn't have seen in years past, because I feel like in past years, we're getting into, like, figure skating news now, but, like, I feel like in past years it was a lot of like classical pieces and classical arrangements, and this year it's like you have a song from an anime, you have like selections from contemporary artists, and like it was really neat.
I'm glad they allowed it because I guess I don't know, it's just like I think that allows more people to get into it, and I think it allows the skaters to find something that moves them.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, obviously, like, the more open they can be to selections like that, the more skaters will be able to, like, show their personality, too. And, like, the more into it they are, the better the performances are anyway.
I think it's good because it makes it less snooty because, like, alright, I'm not, like, a ice skating aficionado or anything, but I watched this documentary about Tanya Harding, and they allowed her to show, like, her view of what happened. Mm-hmm. She wasn't right, but like if you listen to her side of the story, you're like, okay, I kind of get why he did that. Mm-hmm. So, but like growing up, she like had no money at all, so she had to make all her own costumes and stuff, and
they were really shitty to her.
Yeah, they were really shitty to her.
Well, because she basically came from like quote-unquote white trash upbringing and like was in this figure skating sport against people like Nancy Kerrigan, who was like la 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 la, Nancy Kerrigan,
I'm really rich and I have a supportive family,
yeah, and like all this stuff. And so not like again not saying that what she did was right, but what happened,
you can understand why.
Yeah. Being able to understand like why somebody does something is different than saying like, oh, that's a good excuse.
No, don't break anybody's kneecaps.
No, it's more just...
But like, you can see why, because, like, she was like, yeah, judges would mark me off for my costume, but the thing is, like, I couldn't afford a better one. Yeah. Like, I literally had not the money to make a better one, but, like, judges would be like, oh, yeah, you know what, next time, don't even show up with something like that. Mm-hmm. And she's just like, and she was like, I should be judged on how good I am at skating, mm-hmm. not like how expensive a costume I can get.
Yeah.
Because she was also just like buffer and stuff. So she could do technically things better, but like she just wasn't.
Yeah, I feel like they, and there's figure skating is definitely not the only sport that has a history of kind of like discriminating against people that don't fit into the exact mold. Like, that's why Misty Copeland is such a big deal in ballet.
Who's Misty Copeland? Tell me about it.
She is a ballerina who is very Here, I'm going to show you a pic. You can look her up if you want. Yeah. But she is...
Misty what?
Copeland, the first one.
Good. She's the first example. Well, maybe Google was listening to us.
So she's a ballerina.
Oh my god, she's beautiful.
But she's very, very muscular for a ballerina. Like, see how muscular she is? Like, most, and so, like,
there was like a ballerina who was Asian, and they told her she couldn't be lead ballerina because her face couldn't be expressive. And,
but,
like, this is a thing that I hear. Like, they told, like, some producer was like, yeah, we don't cast Asians as leads because their faces aren't expressive. And I was like, what are you talking? Like, this is, like, a thing that white people say. And I don't understand. Like, what do you mean it's not expressive? Have you only seen geisha in your life? What world are you living in?
Yeah. But, yeah, so Misty Copeland is kind of in a, like, similar sports situation where, like,
she doesn't fit the
like typical body. Like, see, look at her calf muscles and like her biceps and stuff. She is beautiful, but like ballet people were kind of like, oh, she's too muscular, she's too built to be like a ballerina.
So,
which is bullshit because she's like,
that sometimes, like, I've heard personally directed towards ballerinas of color. I assume she's black.
Yes.
Is that they're too muscular.
Yeah.
So it could be racist because that's like I said with like, and we can't have an Asian lead dancer. She can't express her face. And I was like, everyone's 50 feet away. Shut up. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I'm sure that was probably at least part of it, if not a good portion of it.
Yeah, because from my like expert eyes, it seems like she fits all the definitions of what a ballerina has to do.
Yeah, but I mean, she's having the last laugh now because I think that she's sponsored by like Nike now, and she ended up being part of like this whole like campaign where it's like, oh, like you're not like the typical people who think that, you know, you're not like the typical.
I've seen other ballerinas who are just as muscular as her, so I think everyone's just an asshole. So
I mean, I think things are certainly changing more now, like, than they used to.
Yeah, but I just like sometimes when people are like, "Oh, you're too muscular," "Oh, your face isn't expressive enough," and it's like, okay, so these are things that cannot be controlled and have no effect on my performance.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Well, that's the thing that female athletes struggle against a lot. Like, even in sports where it's not like all about like grace, like people will, you know,
be like, oh, she's too this.
She's like too muscular or too masculine, and it's like, well, they're an athlete. Like, they should be allowed to look. Their body should, like with Serena Williams. People say the same thing about her, and it's like, you know,
like, what does that have to do with like her actually playing the game?
Exactly,
like, you know?
And like, no, people wouldn't say that about a male athlete because their performance ability is not tied to their femininity, you know?
I just feel, from my perspective, that, like, they often say these things to people like, okay, Tanya Harding's not a victim. I'm just saying, like, she came from a lower income class, and everyone was saying, like, you're too muscular, you're not feminine enough, and it's like, maybe you're saying those things as a veiled way to say something else. Mm-hmm. And, like, telling this woman she's too muscular, I think that's a veiled way of people expressing something that they don't really want to say. Mm-hmm. So, like, if someone ever says, you're too muscular, your face isn't expressive enough, or whatever, based off of something that you cannot control, just assume that they're, like, fucking saying something that they shouldn't be saying and that they're definitely wrong. Mm-hmm. So
moving on, behavior outside of Twitch can now cause an indefinite ban.
Like, what kind of behavior?
I am trying to remember exactly what this is in reference to. If you go down, we could probably find it. But
okay,
like,
so don't be racist.
But basically, like, if you're, I mean, of course, the thing is that like, Twitch can basically take like if we feel like enforcing this, that type of thing, then we can do it. But like, basically what they're trying to do is make it so that if somebody outside of, if a Twitch streamer outside of Twitch goes on like some sort of like harassment campaign against somebody, that they can be banned from Twitch, so that it's not just like, oh, they have to do it actually on stream in order to be banned.
All right, so the list is, and I'm going to assume someone's going to be like, they can't do that, it's freedom of speech. I'm like, if you're an official Twitch streamer, you're their employee, so no, they can.
Yeah.
So this is like a code of conduct. So Twitch defines hateful conduct as any content or activity that promotes, encourages, or facilitates discrimination, blah, 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 blah.
Denigration, objectification, harassment, or violence based on characteristics such as race, ethnicity, national origin, religion, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, age, disability or medical condition, physical characteristics, and veteran status.
So that's pretty broad. So I think don't, both ways. Like, don't be sexist or anything towards anyone.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. Try your best.
Try your best. But I think that the thing that is new about this story is that, like, even doing these things, like, outside of Twitch, they have kind of opened the door to, like, oh, it's not just, like, something that you do on stream that can cause a ban. It is things, like, if you are a partnered streamer.
It's within their right to do it. And also, I think this is not coming from nothing, because there's a lot of Twitch streamers who gain followings by being a drama queen, basically.
Yeah.
By being, like...
I would have gone a little bit stronger and said by being an asshole.
By being an asshole drama queen, because they get people to follow them because they're like, I'm here to say what other people don't, which is bigotry, and everyone's like, yeah, bigotry, I love hating people for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, welcome to the bigotry nation, like, bigot and proud.
So, Don't Nod's upcoming vampire game has a release date set for June 5th.
First of all, do you have to play as a guy?
I think it's like a set narrative. I don't think it's like, oh, choose your character.
Because I've been getting, like, emails from their developer diaries or whatever, and not watching any of them. And
so what you're saying is you're about to pass judgment without knowing anything about the actual game?
No, I was just saying I don't know anything about the game.
Oh.
And I'm just like, I know it's, like, unreasonable, but I feel, like, disappointed that the lead isn't a lady. However, I'm sure it's going to be cool.
I mean, I feel like I don't know. I understand that you would want there to be a female character. It doesn't really bother me just because Life is Strange was, like, so female centric.
No, it's not that. I'm just like their track record with female protagonists. I was like, yeah, like, they're not disgusting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They're like humans.
So, like, maybe it would have been cool to. I mean,
have more from them because I know they can do a good job. However, like, I also respect that creativity needs space. So, like,
I mean, what if he's a gay vampire?
What I'm saying is that I would rather have their creative freedom than to pander to me, because I'm excited to see whatever they make. Because, like, between Remember Me and Life is Strange, those are two pretty, like, creative ideas, in my opinion.
Well, and another thing to keep in mind, for not for you, but for the audience, I feel like, it's kind of like, this is what happens when a company builds up trust about how they treat their characters. Then it's like they can make creative decisions, and you're like, oh, okay, like, even though I would like to see blah blah blah, I trust where they're going with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, where I'm just like, oh, I'm a little disappointed. However, like, I kind of am, like, trusting that they'll surprise me.
As far as I know, the game will not be episodic. It was initially delayed, but will be planned for June 5th. So I think that one of the big things about this game is that, like, you're a vampire set in the times of, like, what is it, the Spanish flu or some
easy food.
some like big disease, but you're basically your character is kind of built around like who do you choose to kill, if anybody.
The Spanish flu killed a lot of people. I think it was like 1% of the human population died.
I don't remember if that's the exact time period of this, but it's I know that it's set in the time of like some sort of
early 20th century London, blah blah blah.
Doctor who's been recently turned into a bloodsucker, creating an internal struggle between the need to take life to survive and the yearning to save it.
I never, like, whenever people are like, I need to drink blood to survive, I was like, but what are the rules of it? Like, can you just, like, drink some blood? Or is it, like, one of those things where you have to eat the life? Like, what are the rules?
Well, it's also kind of like in some vampire, mythos, some of them, it's like they can only, like, human blood is the only thing that satisfies.
Yeah.
And in some of them, like...
animal blood can get you by, but it's gross.
Yeah. So it kind of depends on, like, what the rules are for that specific, like, universe. It's kind of like zombies. Like, in zombie books, how it's, like, some of them can run... Are you looking at ads?
I was just scrolling down.
It's like some of them... Yeah. They're all kind of different. So, and then the next thing I had was they released a Venom teaser trailer with Tom Hardy. This was... I felt so bad that I screwed up Venom and... What's that other guy? Spawn.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like the same color palette, so...
I honestly, like, these are two characters that I didn't really know pretty much anything about, so, like...
Don't worry about it.
You know how it's like they're in the wider...
Stacey, it's like you're being upset that, like, you don't know the difference between, like, Spider-Man and Spider-Man 3000. It's fine.
Yeah.
You can't know every single comic book character ever.
Yeah. So, anyways, they released a teaser trailer with Tom Hardy. I watched it. I'm going to be honest. It
looks whatever.
It looks whatever. I mean, Tom Hardy is Tom Hardy. But, like, when I watched this, I didn't really see anything that made me think, like, whoa, I'm so excited to see this,
Okay, Tom Hardy walking around. Pretty blonde lady.
Is that Michelle Williams, maybe?
Probably. I don't know. Agent, what are you doing? Get out of there. Okay, you can stay. Destruction. From what I remember, Venom is created by an alien parasite. It's kind of like an alien parasite that takes over your brain.
Yeah.
But, like, is Spider-Man gonna be in this? Because, like, Venom is, like, a hugely, very Spider-Man thing.
Well, but this might be his, like, origin story, I would assume.
Yeah, but the origin stories that I've heard and that I've read or seen through the different comic books, and it's always been Venom latches on to Peter Parker's suit, and that's where it gets the form from. But, whatever.
Interesting.
It doesn't have to be cool.
I don't know. And then I don't know how to pronounce this, but Yuri will be the first woman signed to an Overwatch League team, which I don't really follow Overwatch or Overwatch League or anything like that, but so I don't know if you heard about all this while it was kind of going down, but basically...
No, but every time I hear about women joining competitive game leagues, it's always like, and then they were sexually harassed to death. Like, they died from it.
But, so what happened with this is basically, they signed, like, all the teams. This is how I understand it. They signed all the teams. It was all dudes. And so people kind of were just like, hey, like, what the heck? Like, there's plenty of, like, women who would be good enough for the teams. Like, why didn't you sign anybody? And all the team, like, leaders were just kind of like, well, it has to be, like, the right woman, like, good team fit, like, blah, 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 like, all this stuff. And especially, like, but if we sign a woman, then people will think it's, like, pandering, like, that she's not, like, and she's gonna get, like, tons of harassment and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, but if they're signing up to be signed, they know that.
Yeah, that was the argument.
I'm pretty sure women can make that choice for themselves.
That's what... Yeah.
They're just too delicate. They can't make that choice for themselves. Us men have to choose for them.
Yeah. So I don't know if you are familiar with Yuri at all, but she was basically so good that people, of course, accused her of cheating. And so she posted videos of, like, herself, like, playing the game, but also, like, video of her, like, hands and stuff, so that people could actually see what she was doing.
That happens all the time.
Yeah.
Both ways. But, like, I remember there was a Street Fighter, or I think it was Street Fighter, or maybe it was Marvel versus Capcom, where, you know, different teams had coaches, and the one coach for her team, she was one of the very...
This is somebody else.
Yeah. She was one of the very few fighter, you know, girls. And she was...
Girls?
Yeah, she was cute.
Fighter grills?
Yeah, and she had a quote-unquote fan following called, like, Miranda's Hips, because she had, you know, wide hips.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to, like, comment on it because it's within the context of sexual harassment. So,
yeah.
She had womanly wide hips. And, like, there's, like, footage taken by her team coach being like, show your feet, Miranda. And she's like, no, I don't want to.
What?
And she's, like, hiding her feet from him. And he's like, if you don't hide the feet, you have to put on the helmet or something like that. So she takes her feet out right away. And it was just, like, really weird. And then when she was at a tournament, they, like, the entire crowd started screaming, rape her.
Ew.
Like, it was bad. And then she, like, left because she was like, what?
Yeah.
I think she continued the match, and she finished the match. I can't remember if she won or lost, but, like, I can see why they could use that as an excuse, but I don't think that was the reason why they didn't sign Giguri.
Here's the thing, is I feel like, obviously, that is something that any woman should keep in mind when joining a team.
But I think they all know that already, and they've already been through the ringer.
I don't know how they, especially her, of all people. Like, people already, people already came after her.
You know, going in, you're going to be harassed, and it's going to be an uphill battle. But to someone like Giguri, I assume her love for the game is enough.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
some
people are willing to put up with that, and some people are willing to be like, I know it's going to suck for me, but probably for the next person it's going to suck a little bit less.
Mm-hmm.
And people are willing to make that choice. And for
so brave.
And for the guys for the men, who were the team leaders and said that, it's like, okay, but you don't have the right to make that choice for them. Mm-hmm. Unless you were saying, we don't want to deal with the drama. It's like, oh, okay, it's about you.
Well, some of the other issues that can actually come up is that, like, if the team is living together in a house, how do you determine, like to keep, if they want to have, like, segmented housing and stuff like that?
Just have her have her own room.
I'm just saying that was one of the things that was brought up.
Like,
if they don't want them cohabitating, like, especially if it's, like, young people for whatever reason.
Wow, it's like, maybe give her her own room and have a policy on not harassing her. And honestly, I feel like it might also be, like, behind the scenes, they don't want to interrupt the boy gang. And by that I mean, like, when I've worked in traditionally male spaces, or, like, I played varsity baseball and my team was pretty cool, but, like, sometimes guys, when they have a space that they consider to be a male space, even though it's like it shouldn't be,
mm-hmm.
kind of like they act as if you're ruining the fun by just being there, mm-hmm. and being like, oh, you're making me uncomfortable by saying you love raping women, like, and they're like, it's a joke, just get over it, and you're like, I don't, what?
Yeah.
And just shit like that. And so then they're like, we don't want women coming in here and like, you know, ruining it. So, like, sometimes that's the dynamic and stuff. And, like, sometimes you feel like, oh, I have to go along with this internalized misogyny to fit in.
And to be clear, like, this happens in other types of spaces as well, where it's, like, predominantly one group of people, and then you have, like, a minority group of another type of person. So, like, I don't want to act as if, like, all male spaces is the only space where this happens. This is just, like, the area where we have the most experience.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's like, there should be all female spaces and all male spaces, but it shouldn't be something where it's like a fucking competitive league, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of, it's different when it's like, you know,
A male space would be like a forum for men,
for like men discussing their feelings on like male suicide and things like that.
Yeah, stuff like that, or like a conference for men talking about like men's issues. Like when there's quote unquote feminists protesting that, I'm like, okay, give them their space. Like,
yeah, I don't like it when people do that, because it's like, no, that like everybody can have their own like spaces for things. It just doesn't make sense in something like Overwatch, where there actually is no reason to keep men and women separated,
Yeah, it's like a video game and it's like a competitive league. That's like, that's just taking people's opportunities away. But if you're having like, oh, we're having a conference on male victims of sexual abuse, or like just male homelessness or male domestic abuse victims, it's like, okay, like we don't need any feminists showing up screaming about like how it's not real. Like you're just a B. You're just a B, maybe even a C.
And something like Overwatch League is even different than like in my opinion, it's different than like physical sports, where one could argue that men and women would be kept separate because they're
different physiology.
Yeah. There's a reason that, female figure skaters don't compete against the male figure skaters. It's because,
they have different muscle areas.
Yeah. So that was what I had for news. I also wanted to talk a little bit about Altered Carbon, because I have been watching that, and it's pretty... I enjoy it. I know that you watched the first episode and you weren't too keen on it.
Well, okay. So sometimes there's like context outside of shows where you're like, okay, well, I don't really feel like dealing with this.
Mm-hmm.
For me personally, I was like, this is a level of Asian whitewashing. Because for me, I had been witnessing multiple Asian canonical characters being turned into white people.
Yeah.
And I understand within the context of Altered Carbon, it makes sense. But I was just like, cool, Asian guy, oh, he's white now because of technology. So for me personally, I was like, I don't feel like dealing with this.
I feel like if you, and obviously I'm not saying that you have to get farther into the show, but I feel like if you get farther in, there are several things that happen that kind of mitigate that factor on the surface. One is that pretty much all of the female characters are women of color. Mm-hmm. Also that it's pretty clear that like bodies are viewed as like disposable sleeves, and there actually is a reason that he's in that specific body.
Was like his whiteness important to his character in the book?
No, he's not white. He's still Asian.
And what? So he's
still Asian
on the inside?
Yeah. So what happens is a person is embedded in a chip, and that chip can be put into any body. So when he's uploaded into that specific body, it doesn't change anything about who he is on the inside.
So the way you're explaining it,
yeah,
I understand that makes sense in terms of the story, and I respect that. But like, it doesn't make it feel better.
But but he's raised Asian. All of the backstory that they show with him, which is quite extensive, he's an Asian man. And I feel like, if you're opposed to the idea, I feel like that's kind of an interesting, like, philosophical opposition as opposed to, like, to the show itself. You know? Because that's not you really taking issue with the show. That's more you taking issue with the idea of somebody being put into a body that's not their own. However, I would also...
I don't think so. There's a lot of what you're saying that's just, like, really making me not happy with that. Because in the context of our society, things like that happen for real, where someone's like, I'm transracial, I'm white, but like, I really love, I don't know, I can understand why other people wouldn't be bothered by it, but for me personally, it just bothers me a lot. And that's fine if other people are not bothered. You know?
In terms of like representation in the rest of the show, it's actually pretty good. And I feel like, Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just feel like, it's kind of like if somebody feels like, if somebody is a woman and they're put into like a male body, it doesn't really change the fact that they're a woman, you know? Like you're still who you are on the inside, even if your outside body changes. And
I just, like, within the context of our society, just being like, he's still Asian, he's just in a white body. It doesn't sit well with me.
I mean, that body belongs to a specific person, so there is a reason that he's in that specific body.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, never mind. I don't feel like getting weird emails about this.
No. I think it's fine. I'm more just trying to explain it so that if somebody else is interested in watching the show.
Yeah, it's like, sometimes I think, like, so when you make content, not like you, but just like you in general, like, I'm going to put Pat on blast, so if you really love Pat, just, ignore me. Like, I saw Pat's latest video and thumbnail being like...
Oh my god, you cannot possibly compare these two things.
No. I'm just saying within the context of our world, like, the video itself, it was like, okay. But the thumbnail and the title was clearly meant to be a little bit... It was Black Panther with a cup and change, and then says "Will Panther for food" or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was really like in the context of the United States with Black people, like it was pretty insulting. And I like had a discussion with Todd, being like, "Does he like not get this, or is he doing it on purpose?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is his deal?" And it was just like he just doesn't get it. He doesn't understand that, like. Because a lot of people are like, oh, well, the video says it like this. Is like, yeah, it's not, like, racist. It's just racially insensitive when you make a video right after Black Panther comes out, which clearly means a lot to a lot of people, and he's a strong black man during Black History Month, to be, like, immediately make a thumbnail where he is depicted as, like
a homeless
man? A homeless man with a homeless man sign. Like, it's kind of, like, degrading to this strong black male character that a lot of people have been really looking forward to as like a strong person to look up to. Mm-hmm. And so that's why it would be insensitive, and like just like there's context to the things people do. Mm-hmm. And I don't expect everybody to like agree with me or anything, but sometimes like, things you say, like, I'm sure Pat was like, this is fine. But, like, take a step back and, like, be like, in context during this time of the year, after all the things that happened, maybe I shouldn't make the thumbnail like that,
Yeah.
It's just...
I guess I just wonder, like, so within the context of a show where people can switch their consciousness between bodies, that kind of... like, if you don't like the idea of people being put into different bodies, like, that sets up some interesting rules in terms of, like...
Yeah, I totally get that. I totally get it. It's just, like, for me personally, seeing an Asian man being, like, shoved inside of a white man, within the context of everything that's been happening in the last few years with white actors whitewashing Asian roles, I was just like, this is reminding me too much of something that annoys me. During my free time, I don't want to like.
For sure.
So it's like cultural context for me personally,
Yeah, I feel like, so the book that this is based on was written 15 years ago, mm-hmm. and I feel like when it's kind of interesting because like if you look at it from like from a book perspective, it's not as much of I don't want to like put words in your mouth about your feelings, but like I feel like if you were to read about it in a book, it wouldn't.
I think I would be less annoyed.
It depends. It wouldn't be as jarring because you're not actually physically seeing it in front of you. You know what I mean? Like, there's not, like, what does it matter what the character looks like in the context of a book so much? However...
I just don't understand why it had to be, like, a white guy. Couldn't it have been, like... I don't know, a black woman or something. I was just like, it isn't. Whatever.
But see, I don't think that would have made it better. Do you know what I mean?
For me, it would have been a different type of thing.
I understand that, but I guess then that's like setting up like tiers in terms of like which racial substitution is okay. And I feel like I don't know that I would be comfortable making that. Like, do you know what I mean? The one thing that I will say that I really did like is that there's good representation of women of color, which is really cool.
There was a movie that I was watching this morning that I didn't finish, and I just kept thinking like, oh, Stacey's gonna love this movie. It's Mute. I think it just came out like last night on Netflix, and it has your guy in it.
My guy?
You're the guy from True Blood, Eric.
Oh, yeah.
And he can't talk, takes place in the future. Everything's
Alexander Skarsgård.
Yeah, and everything's neon, and, like, everybody, like, there's prostitutes everywhere. You'd love it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Everyone keeps talking about how his main love interest is so beautiful, but, like, I was just like, I don't see it, but whatever. They were like, she's gorgeous and beautiful, and I was like, she's okay.
Yeah.
Like...
In other weird news, a 45-minute farm standoff ends when cops realize that...
Oops, sorry.
That the tiger is stuffed. So basically, this guy in Scotland I don't think that video is related.
Okay.
This like farmer in Scotland. Yeah. There was
I'm looking at the picture.
For those of you who can't see it, he found there was a stuffed tiger, like, I think it was in his barn or something. But, like, of course he didn't, like, walk right up to it, so he didn't realize it's stuffed, because it's, like, a life-size tiger.
Oh, my God.
So he calls the cops, and the cops get involved, and, like, oh, my God.
Did you ever see... Okay, there was a story about this guy who was arrested for owning bestiality porn.
Oh,
but
boy.
he was like, I didn't have bestiality porn, but nobody would actually look at the bestiality porn.
Oh, no.
Turns out it was just a dude fucking a furry. But he had his life ruined.
Oh,
like,
no.
He lost his job because he got charged for having bestiality porn, but really he had just,
but
like...
nobody would actually, like, look at it to verify what it was?
I think somebody had just, like, sent it to him just as a joke or something.
Oh, my God.
Hold on. Man, bestiality porn, not real.
What?
I don't know, but it was like...
I don't know that this is going to lead us to where we want to go.
But it was just
I don't know that that's the search that you want recorded.
But, like, when finally the cops actually, like, opened... Because, like, can you imagine? Like, no!
Like, I don't want to see it.
Yeah. And then, like, somebody just actually opened and they're like, wait a second. That's a dude in a costume.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
It was, like, a realistic thing, but it's kind of like if you look at it, you don't want to look at it, so it's bad.
So, in other news, mermaids and mermen of Brazil refuse to be tamed. So there is
what does that mean? Like, they won't...
There's a small but growing group of people in Brazil. So mermaiding is actually, like, a thing in Brazil where, like, people will put on...
I'm listening.
Where people will put on, like, these mermaid tails and, like, hang out and swim and stuff. And it's actually become, like, I don't know, like a hobby or like pastime for like a substantial
That's pretty
group of
common
people.
all over the world. I saw some video of some guy coming out to his mom as a mermaid. Mm-hmm. But, like, his mom was like, whatever.
I saw there was an advertisement for a job at, what was it? Like, it was in some, like, nearby Midwestern state where they were advertising for, like, mermaids at a theme park.
Oh,
to, like, swim and, like, like, swim and dance and, like, entertain people.
The Disney Lagoon or whatever, they used to hire pretty ladies to just lay around with mermaid legs on. Mm-hmm. Their job was just to sunbathe.
Yeah.
But then they were getting sick from all the fumes, so they had to stop.
Aww.
And the chlorine was too strong for their skin.
Yeah. But the Brazilian government has, like, issued an alert saying that, like, although the mermaid tails are very appealing to children, it comes with, like, a grave risk of drowning because it confines your legs and, like, all this stuff. Basically, and, like, authorities in Australia have also warned of the risks of swimming with mermaid tails. And, like, don't swim alone. Like, you have to learn, you need to, like...
Well, okay, so the mermaid tails that I'm seeing here seem to be made of, like,
Cloth?
well, like, bathing suit cloth.
Yeah.
So that's not great, because that has drag in it. But the other mermaid tails I have seen were made of more like a silicone kind of thing, where their mermaid tail acted as, like, flippers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from when you go, like, scuba diving and shit.
Yep.
So they made it more powerful. So what I'm saying is...
I think this one is like that, because this one has... See how it has, like, a...
flippers on the inside?
Like a flipper on the bottom?
Yeah. I think if they... Yeah. Well, I mean, has anyone drowned from this, or...
I don't know. Not that I saw.
I just feel like, you know, yes, this probably has dangers associated with it, but, like, so does skydiving, and everyone lets them do that. So
it's called Ceresmo in Brazil. It's grown more popular thanks to a smash hit TV soap opera and the theme song that accompanied it.
Oh, okay.
So they had, like, a whole soap opera dedicated to, like, being a mermaid.
It's kind of like how maid cafes became really popular in Japan after they had one anime about maids, and then everyone lost their minds, and they're like, maids, 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 maids all the time. And you're like, okay, guys, calm down.
And then the last item that I had was, I don't know if you've heard of the movie The Shape of Water. I
haven't seen it yet.
This is another mermaid story. A company has made so The Shape of Water is about, like, a woman who essentially...
What's the link?
I sent it to you.
Dildo.
In the email.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
Yeah, so... They have created a Shape of Water dildo.
What does it look like?
And I think there's a picture in here, actually.
Right. There's no... Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So they tried to envision what his...
penis.
Member would look like.
That's too human. Not fish enough.
I found it interesting that so they made, like, a limited run of them, and apparently they sold out, like, immediately, and the actor who plays the, like, mermaid in the movie was kind of like, oh, great.
Someone asked him about it, and he was like, what?
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
So the guy who plays the mermaid, Doug Jones, is, like, actually pretty well known for doing acting roles that require, like, full body, like, prosthetics and makeup. No, Doug Jones. He also plays Saru on Star Trek Discovery.
Oh, he's kind of cute.
If you know who he is. And he also played, like, the character with the eyes and the hands from Pan's Labyrinth, maybe?
I feel like he's very lanky and could get into a lot of spots.
He's very,
a lot of areas.
Very lanky and tall, and what they usually cast him as these characters that require kind of like
he's got long fingers. That's it's a bonus. Wanky.
But yeah. So if you wanted a Shape of Water dildo, you can keep an eye out for those. Also, if you're in the market for kind of alien looking dildos, I would definitely check out Bad Dragon because they make really cool stuff.
An interview of him, and he was talking about the bodysuit that they had him do, and they were going to give him butt padding. And he was like, and his argument was, well, I'm an alien. Mm-hmm. So actually it would look weirder without the butt padding. So that's how he convinced them not to pat his butt in the suit.
What was that? Do you know what role that was for?
That was for Star Trek.
Oh, Saru?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he have a flat butt?
Completely.
Or is it just like
mega butt? There's nothing there.
There's nothing there. Kind of like with Ripley in Aliens. She looks great in Aliens, but it's like, where'd it go? Are you looking up Ripley Aliens butt?
No. I'm looking up Saru to see if I could get a picture of the... Because he's very tall and lanky, and you know those suits, I don't think there's an angle of his butt here.
Where did it go? It goes straight from her back to her legs.
Mm-hmm. I mean, those are not really flattering panties at all.
From the front, they're very flattering. Check it out. I think, so this is the 80s, so I think if they gave her some cheekies, that would have been nice, but this is the 80s where they're like, no, not a butt, no!
Yeah, like, let's, God, like, bikini cut underwear are the worst.
Okay, so she looks great from the front, and she has a cute little butt from the back. Just cute little butt.
So those were all the news items that I had for today. Did you have any books that you wanted to recommend this week? I've been catching up on, like, older stuff, so I don't know that I have any, but I wanted to know if you had any.
No, I'm an idiot. I don't know how to read anymore.
I know a lot of people ask me for book recommendations, so if you wanted to check out, like, some of my favorites or what I've been reading lately, you can find me on Goodreads. It's goodreads.com/geekremixalot. And today's podcast, of course, is sponsored by BarkBox. You can get 1 free extra month of BarkBox if you visit getbarkbox.com/geekremix.
You said BarkBox and AJ got up like,
BarkBox.
hello.
He was
Hi.
like, hello. So for those of you that don't know, BarkBox is a monthly subscription box that delivers toys and treats for your dog. The boxes like have cute little themes, like Jurassic Bark with dinosaur toys, or The Good, the Bad, and the Pugly. They have different...
If you have a dog like mine where AJ loves to destroy his toys.
Destroy toys, like,
just to rip them apart. Like, as soon as you get them, he immediately starts working on it. I have to buy him dog's toys for pit bulls because he likes to rip them apart so much.
Yeah.
So, if you're one of those people who just needs just a constant supply of toys for...
And they're really adorable. Like, they're really cute. So, and they also have different options depending on the size of your dog, but all the boxes are priced the same, so, like, you're not going to get penalized for having a bigger dog. And so if you order a 6 or 12-month subscription, you can get a free box. Again, the link is getbarkbox.com/geekremix. Now, I had a couple questions and topics for this week. The first one we actually kind of touched on a little bit earlier, but if you want to talk about it, that's cool. So the first question was, like, with all the issues and changes that are happening with YouTube, what do you think is in the future for smaller creators?
I don't know. I don't even want to think about it. It's probably something horrible. Just terrible, bad things.
I feel like the ad situation is not going to, like, I feel like it's not going to, like, quote unquote improve from a creator perspective. First of all, just from, like, a marketing perspective, not even talking about, like, YouTube, but digital ads don't make that much, like, digital ads make money, but you
have to get a lot of clicks.
Have to, yeah, like, so for, like, a smaller creator that doesn't get, like, thousands upon thousands or, like, hundreds of thousands of views, I feel like there are better...
We make $1 per 1,000 views if we're lucky. Like, that's what it's like.
So, I feel like there are ways that you can more consistently make money, and, like, especially with a small audience where, like, you can actually, like, engage with people, like, where it's more important for you to kind of know your audience of people and, like, actually, like, interact with them one-on-one. I feel like that's more important and, like, more fun and rewarding for a smaller creator than for somebody who has, like, you know, 1 million or a couple million subscribers or whatever. So I think that, you know, if you can have your fans support you, or if you can do things like sponsorships. By the way, thank you to everybody who, like, signs up for the sponsorships for us. That really does help us out, and, you know, you guys don't have to do that, but, like, I think it's always cool that, like, you guys can actually, like, get something and stuff. So, other possible questions: if you could have a celebrity guest star on the podcast, who would you want?
Anybody I want. Like,
anybody
in the
you
world.
Want. We'll say anybody in the world, living or dead.
Living or dead? That's just too much pressure.
I'm the one who's going with.
Like, if I don't say, like, some sort of saint, then I'm a bad person.
Well, then let's just go with alive then, because everybody who's alive right now sucks.
Shit. Oh! Keanu Reeves.
Oh my god! That's a good one.
Because, like, he for sure is not a creep. Like, I don't think it would happen. AJ, are you okay? You just
Keanu
gag in
Reeves
the corner?
as like Keanu Reeves, or Keanu Reeves as John Wick?
No, just Keanu Reeves.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, sometimes, there's pictures of him just, like, laying on the ground next to a homeless guy hanging out, and you're like, that guy has got to be so chill. Yeah, like, he just goes to sleep on the ground whenever he wants. I think it's because he's really depressed, which would also make me want him to be on the show.
I feel like I would really... This is not a single person, but I would love to talk to the cast of Sense8 because, oh my God, AJ's just... What is going on over
Just
there?
ignore him.
I don't... Because, like, Sense8, I don't know, it's just, like, such a great show, and I would just love to, like, I don't know, pick everybody's brain about, like, what it was like to work on a show like that. I don't know. You watched a couple episodes of it, right?
Yeah, big, wet, sloppy dildo flapping on the ground with light.
That's literally like in the first episode. You must have gotten farther than that.
That's all I remember. The only thing I remember is a huge rainbow dildo slapping on the floor.
I don't think it's
and
a rainbow.
Wetness.
I think it's purple.
No, I think it's a rainbow dildo. Stacey's fact checking.
I'm fact checking this dildo.
All I just remember is just like vividly seeing like how wet it was. And then I was wondering like how did it get so wet? And it was just
I think you're right. I think it is a rainbow dildo.
yeah, because it's burned into my memory. Like not in a bad way. Just like I was so shocked at like it wasn't just a dildo. It was a sopping wet dildo that they slammed on the ground and wetness sprinkled off of it in the sunlight. And I was like, couldn't believe it.
It doesn't really surprise me because it isn't Sense8 doesn't...
It's a Netflix show. They can do whatever they want.
Well, no, but it's also the Wachowski sisters.
Yeah.
Who are like...
They're both trans now, right? Or they always were trans, but they're all both out.
They're both out as trans now, yes. And, but, like, they've always been kind of, like...
Be weird about it.
Well, and I heard, like, this described by somebody once that, like, if you watch the 3 Matrix movies in order, you can, like, gradually see, like, both of them coming to terms with their own, you know...
My headcanon is that Trinity was trans and that, like, you know how... My headcanon, this is a headcanon, it's not real. But, like, when she was in the original Matrix, she was given the wrong gender. And so, like, that's why Neo goes, oh, I thought you were a guy, because he had heard of her before.
Mm.
And she goes, nope. I'm a woman.
Yeah.
And then, like, after that, because you know how she just is kind of, like, has a vaguely masculine look, even though she's, like, a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a woman. Whatever. But, like, that's my headcanon is that, like, when she was in the Matrix, there was, like, some glitch or something that gave her the wrong body.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, she's, like, trans. Matrix trans. So then when she, like, and that was, like, part of the reason why she rejected the Matrix. Is because she's like, this isn't right. Like,
yeah.
This isn't my body. And she got out and she's like, I knew it! Never going back!
Other questions. What is a game you cherished the most as a kid?
Oh, shit. Probably Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts. I think for me, the game that I probably played the most of and like enjoyed playing with other people was probably the original StarCraft.
Maybe even Mario Party too, as well.
And what else? Mario 64.
I never liked Mario 64. I don't know why. Just never liked it.
See, that was a game that like I just remember playing a lot with my brother. So it was like, it's not like the game itself so much as like the memories around it.
Mm-hmm.
And also, my cousins had an old Super NES, and so we would play the Ninja Turtles game. And I just remember, like, they had a Game Genie, and so we would, like, sleep over their house, and we'd wake up at literally, like, 5 in the morning and go, like, running downstairs to try and beat the game before the parents woke up.
Mm.
It was really fun. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we sign off? Geek Remix life tips? Any life tips?
Oh, shit. You gotta, like, warn me of this beforehand. I need, like, some sort of, like, launch pad.
Well, we're supposed to, like, in theory, we should be basing the life tips based off of things that we have said in this podcast.
Don't say the N-word.
Okay, I was thinking more like humorous life tips, not like actual like advice.
Let's see.
My advice.
Oh, if you're gonna watch furry yiffing,
I was
make sure it's very obviously a yiffing video. So if somebody looks at it at a glance, they don't think you're watching bestiality. Make sure it's like very obviously yiffing.
I don't understand how it could not obviously be a furry. Like, I'm trying to picture how like
realistic costume was.
Yeah, the costume was like, because most of the animals that I feel like people I like, if there's, I think
it was just a realistic tiger suit. It's just, not like Tony the Tiger kind of thing.
Just how would you make it realistic enough that somebody would look on? Well, anyways, if you're gonna watch yiffing videos,
make sure
it's clear that it's yiffing.
And you know what? Don't download them. Google them, because then it's like you streamed it, and then now what? Mm-hmm. Don't download anything that could look like it could be something bad.
And if you want alien dildos, go to Bad Dragon, because they make the best alien dildos.
They do. They put so much work
into it. They put so much, and you know what? They're also just, a really nice company, too.
The downside is...
They sent us free stuff.
Is that every time I bring someone back to my apartment, I have to explain why I have an enormous alien penis.
Because you asked for it?
Yeah, but
because
I have to
specifically ask for it?
I have to explain the whole situation.
No,
there is no whole
situation.
There's
the
a
whole
entire
situation is that you wanted an alien penis dildo.
It's a sponsorship, and yes, I wanted it.
So you abdicate responsibility for asking for the alien
But then
dildo?
I show them the cum lube, because it's just so weird and interesting.
Yeah.
And they're always amazed.
Always intrigued.
Because they always
It really is like jizz.
Yeah, it is. And then they're like, when they're washing it off, they're like, it feels like I'm washing off jizz. And I'm like, exactly. Isn't that amazing? Like I'm amazed.
How did they do it?
I am amazed by the engineering behind the jizz lube.
Yeah. Because
every time I show a new person, they go, it is. And then they go, oh, I better go wash this off. And then they shout from the bathroom, it feels like washing off jizz. And I'm like, I know.
They also make super cute, if you wanted something that if you wanted something that was a little bit less extra, they also make little mini dildos. You have a set of the mini dildos.
Yeah, the mini dildos.
They're so adorable.
Just for if you want to have cute dildos around.
Or I don't know if you're if you want to get somebody a gift or something, and you're like, what should I get the person who has everything? They probably don't have mini dicks.
And they probably don't have lube that's extremely like jizz. So. They also have clear lube that has the same consistency as vaginal wetness. Is that a non-sexist way of saying it?
I think that it's the same formula.
Yeah, but it's clear and it feels slightly different.
I thought the only difference was the color.
Let's get them out. Come on, rub it in.
As always, our podcast is supported thanks to our supporters on Patreon. If you would like to throw us $1 or €1 or whatever over there, you can visit patreon.com/geekremix. The next goal that we're working towards is for game roast videos. We're over 80% of the way there. If you want to keep in touch with me in between videos and podcasts and all that jazz, you can follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram. My handle is @GeekRemixAlot.
Mine is @GeekRemix on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram.
So, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.